Are you creative, love storytelling, and are socially awkward? Well, then try writing a book.
You don't want to write an entire book? Well, too bad. We're going to tell you how to anyway.
If you think writing a book is hard, then you're right.
For those of you who like to write stories, today we'll go step by step in the story writing process. And also remember that actually writing a well-planned and thought-out story or book is very complicated, and we won't have enough time to go over everything, because that's literally impossible to do in less than a few hours, let alone a few minutes. In this video, I'll go over how I personally write my stories.
Your writing process may be totally different and more personalized, so feel free to experiment with what feels comfortable and works for you. Also, once you've decided to make writing a whole book your goal, it's basically signing up yourself to Hades himself. Oh yeah, by the way, we'll be dividing this video into phases.
Phase 0. The idea phase. Still interested in writing a book for some reason? Then your first phase will be the idea phase. This phase sounds pretty self-explanatory, right? It's just coming up with ideas. That should be the easy part, right?
Well, you're wrong again. This may be easy for you, but it all depends. In this phase, Ian not only comes up with ideas for a plot, but he also comes up with character ideas like who is the main character and what are their goals.
I usually write all this stuff down on both Google Docs and on actual sticky notes. I actually have an entire bedroom wall dedicated to these sticky notes. And it's a jumbled up mess of random plot points and ideas until
Phase 1, the outlining phase. In this phase, you will take all of your random ideas and pick out the good ones and attempt to organize it into different chapters.
This phase will prevent writer's block later on by making you suffer early on in the process. This is where the sticky notes come into play. You can just move them around easily like puzzle pieces, which is why this is also called the puzzle piece phase. Our story should start off with Frank, and he should be part of the Armadillo people.
Gasp! And he should secretly be the heir to the throne.
Yeah, and that's when the Walrus clan comes in.
And it should end with the Walrus clan and the giant armadillos in an epic battle.
And they win using the power of friendship. Perfect story. It deserves a reward. And a movie deal.
Definitely. Next is the actual outline. You thought this was the outline, didn't you? No.
Now that we have all our ideas down on sticky notes, here I just transfer everything from my wall, which no longer sees the light of day, to my computer. Usually with Google Docs, since it saves automatically and I can easily access my stuff from any device with my Google account.
And who doesn't have a Google account these days? Even my grandma has one.
So
no excuses!
Also, make sure you have your world building down, like where and when does it take place, and basic plot points.
Remember to make character profiles and get to know your characters as people because no one likes one-dimensional characters. Phase 2, the writing phase.
Now that we have our story outlined, given that all our character profiles, backgrounds, and world building have been written down, we can actually write.
This is actually one of, if not the easiest part of the story writing process. For Hyan anyways, so this may torture you. Just remember, you can't back down now because you've already signed away your soul to the devil.
I have to be honest, sometimes, actually a lot of the time, I procrastinate with this part, even if it's my favorite and the most fun part. Just remember to take this part seriously, because procrastination won't get you anywhere. I've fallen into this trap many times, and it's very hard to get out.
When writing, you have a lot to consider, like why the Walrus clan are attacking the peaceful Armadillo people. But since you've outlined before, this should be easy. You did remember to outline, right?
Phase 3, the beta readers. If you thought writing a book meant so you could hide from society in a room all day and not have to talk to people, then you're terribly mistaken. I found that out the hard way.
And what are beta readers?
Well, beta readers are people who read your manuscript, which is what you have been writing down so far. These people can be anyone, your sister, your parents, classmates, teachers, and even random strangers, but I recommend the last one to be taken with precaution. Unless you want to run the risk of mysteriously disappearing, which I don't recommend.
These betas are meant to give you feedback on every chapter they've read, one at a time. Make sure it's clear that you want constructive
Keep going.
criticism and not just a blind praise.
Because blind praise will make you think your awful manuscript is actually the next Harry Potter, when it's not.
How do you know the manuscript is awful?
Because it is. Manuscripts are always awful at first. That's what beta readers are for.
Phase 4. The why am I such an awful writer phase.
If you haven't gotten to this phase already, then it will start. If your betas give you good constructive criticism, no matter how they put it, your first reaction will most likely be crying into a pillow for 7 hours straight, contemplating your life decisions, and wondering why you're so bad at writing, and at life.
The thing is, most writers feel that they are the worst, because they're writers.
We aren't exactly normal.
No, they are not.
Hey!
Phase 5,
the
the
rewriting phase?
Once you finally stopped hating your very existence and everyone around you, you'll probably start the next phase, which is
Completely rewriting your entire story, which is really annoying, especially when you have to go back all the way to phase 1 and reorganize your entire outline for the 1000th time.
no complaining. You signed up for this and you knew what you were gonna get yourself into. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Depending on what you're improving or rewriting in your story, you may not have to rewrite everything, but a second draft is usually my go-to thing to do, so that there are no inconsistencies in the story.
Phase 4 again? You try your betas again and again and again 1 hour later, and again, your story seems pretty solid. Then you can finally go on to the next phase.
Phase 6,
the editing phase. Don't worry, we're almost done.
Finally, in this phase, we can take a small break to refresh our minds before the editing. But no procrastination. These breaks are important, but should be used in moderation.
You don't want to overwork and cloud your brain and exhaust all of your creativity and enthusiasm for writing. But you also don't want to go back and actually start working again. This is important.
Once the break is over, I start rereading my manuscript, and because of that break, I now have the ability to see more spelling errors, and hopefully not continuity errors, because then you have to go back a few phases, and that's not fun.
Phase 7, the publishing phase. You said we weren't going to do this.
I haven't published a book before, but there are 2 ways to go about this.
You can either go with traditional publishing by paying a publisher to publish your book for you and they manage things like money.
Or you can go with self-publishing, which gives you more freedom, but you have to pay for everything, and you have to be responsible for everything as well.
Either way, you will have to market yourself and have to educate yourself on business and stuff.
If you somehow manage to do all these steps, then congratulations, you've successfully written and published your very own book. Or if you haven't yet, then you have a long roller coaster experience waiting for you, as well as whoever you sold your soul to.
Finally, we're done! Now it's time for the sequel!
Oh, son of a nutcracker.